Hi, Karen here. And today's video is a little bit different because I'm going to be showing you some plants that, yes, they are edible, but I believe that all of the 5 that you're about to see are on a protected species list somewhere. And what I mean by that, depending on where you live, there are certain plants that are on a list in which conservation authorities protect them at all costs. Now, this is a video that is focusing on when you are in an all-out survival situation. Let's face it, there could be times in our lives that we're out there, we are perhaps lost, we can't contact anyone. We're also coming into times of drought, and there are a lot of uncertainties about food security. So, again, I need to stress that the 5 plants that you're about to look at are only edible under emergency or survival situations only, not for regular use at all, ever. Having said that, it is up to you to do further research on all these plants. Where I'm going on this is that just because a plant is deemed edible, and I tell people this on my plant walks, doesn't mean that you can mow down on it like you're at some banquet buffet. Certain foods we cannot have a lot of because there's going to be some repercussions. After all, you know what's going to happen to you if you eat too many prunes or too many figs. Same with wild foods. And there's also some plants out there that if you're pregnant, if you're nursing, going through menopause, if you're on prescription or non-prescription medication, there could be contraindications, and there's always these warnings that you need to be careful of. So again, I need to stress that you need to do your own research to find out the specific quantities that are safe to consume, and are there any contraindications or warnings in terms of edibility. So this is basically an educational video to show you what you could eat in an all-out survival situation. Enjoy. This is ginseng, and this is the only image that you will see as a still shot. The others I have videos. Panax ginseng, Panax quinquefolius, Panax trifolius are 3 species of edible ginseng, the root only. Ginseng is considered safe to eat, but only in small quantities. Eating too much of this can cause heart palpitations, confusion, agitation, headaches, and other issues. If you're an individual with low blood sugar or high blood pressure, heart problems, or if you're on blood thinning medications, stay away from this. As well, if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or going through menopause, once again, another plant you need to avoid. So one more time, I'm going to stress this. The root is edible, but only in an all-out survival situation. According to the website Gardening Know-How, they say that ginseng is incorporated into various products, which include, of course, tea, energy drinks, snack chips, and even chewing gum. They say that a common way to use ginseng is to boil it to make a tea. But if you're going to use it as food, you need to boil it a second time. And they say it's also very good to use in soup. They also say add slices of ginseng root to your simmering soup and let it cook for a few hours. Then you can either mash up the slices into the soup or remove them when they're soft and eat them separately. So there you go. Ginseng root is edible with those cautions. But again, under survival situation only.
Bellwort, also known as maribels or strawbells. These names reflect the shape of the twisted petals that form the flower. And it's only suspected that straw is the color, or that it represents the flower. This is a plant that grows anywhere from 50 centimeters to 20 inches tall. The roots, leaves, and upper stems have provided nourishment for early settlers and Native Americans for hundreds of years. By gathering the upper stems and leaves as greens, these young shoots could be boiled and eaten in what's suspected to be like somewhat asparagus. The fleshy roots are small, but they are edible once they're cooked. Because they do contain some nutritional value, the roots were occasionally included as an ingredient in some beverages. Now, these plants are somewhat small. As you can see, here's one right here. It's very dainty. So by collecting just a few leaves or the flower, it can actually cause damage to the entire plant, ultimately killing it altogether. These are plants that technically should remain undisturbed and only gathered as food if there is a dire emergency. The white trillium. These perennials adorn the forest floor every spring. They're native to eastern North America and grow throughout eastern Canada and the United States, as far south as Arkansas. They bloom anywhere from March till June. These flowers and leaves are edible, and they have been used in herbalism for many years, actually decades, if not hundreds of years, as they were extensively used by the First Nations. The trillium root is used as an alternative medicine and is known to be antiseptic, antispasmodic, a diuretic, and an emmenagogue. So definitely one of those plants that you eat only in a survival situation if you live in areas in which the lands are protected, as many areas have laws that govern the taking of these plants. Wild ginger. Wild ginger is a plant in which not only is it native, but some First Nations people believed that wild ginger eliminated danger of poisoning when they were eating animals that had died of unknown causes. And in some ways, it's a true statement. Wild ginger root contains antibacterial agents active against a broad spectrum of bacteria and fungi. And this trait was recognized by early American and Canadian First Nations. They actually used this plant to season food. It was also used on freshly killed or spoiled meat, so it wasn't just animals that died of an unknown cause. They claim that it was quite safe. However, this is something I wouldn't take a chance on myself. Aristolactic acid is a constituent that many people have concerns about when using this plant as a tea. The leaves are not the part that you would use tea for. It is the root, which runs, it's actually like a rhizome. There we go. Now, wild ginger tea, once in a while I like to have a cup of. It is very aromatic, and I love the flavor. But, again, it has to be used in moderation. Anything in moderation is always recommended. But when it comes to wild ginger in particular, we've got to be careful because of that aristolactic acid. Now, even though the percentage of it is only 0.37% in dry weight, and I think that's based on a gram or two, I can't recall. You still got to be very careful. So, even though this has been used in recorded history, it's one of these plants we don't want to use unless we're in an all-out survival situation. It does have a calming effect on the digestive system, and it has a lot of antibiotic properties. However, as I mentioned, this is yet another plant to only rely on if you're in an all-out survival situation. Thank you.
And there you are, a handful of edible wild plants that you can eat, but only in a survival situation. Always remember that some of these plants are protected, and it is truly only in a survival situation can you resort to picking these and using these as a source of food. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thanks for all your support, and please be sure to subscribe, hit the bell for future notifications, and be sure to share. Thank you.